Okay, there was a request for the video about the Betta barracks that I have built here. So we're in the fish room. This is a wall of 20 longs. Then we have Betta barracks on either side of the window. This wall has 12 10-gallon tanks, another 12-10 on the fourth wall, and then what we like to call the annex. We got a 40 breeder with discus in the walk-in closet. Back to the rack. So what I've done is I actually took a piece of 1 inch by 6 inch wood and a hole saw, 3 5/8 inch, and drilled a series of holes that would accommodate the 2-liter soda bottles. Each soda bottle has a 1/2 inch diameter stub of PVC pipe glued into it, then a thread to slip adapter glued onto that, and each one of these T's is slip glued this way but threaded that way. What that means is if I have a problem with the jar, it leaks, breaks, what have you, I can unscrew that one single jar, bring it out, and then stick another one in and screw it in and replace it without having to replace the whole rack. We start on the end with just a 90-degree, runs into a series of T's from each jar. Each one has 6 jars on it and a ball valve. When I open this ball valve, the water from these 6 drain down the line. All the other ones have their valve closed. It drains down the line to the floor, across, and then it's actually teed out of the house and drains out into the garden. To fill it back up, once I've drained it down, underneath the table here we have a 32-gallon Big Brute container. I have a pump in there with a hose on it that comes out, and I've kind of made a little filler valve here out of PVC pipe, and take a lid off, hang it in, turn the pump on, and it fills this up, and that will fill up all of them in that one rack. Okay, now to make that a little easier, I do have a valve on it, but I also have this remote control on the pump, so I can turn this pump on and off as I'm over here working remotely, filling up each one of the tanks, or each one of the racks. I'm sorry, I can turn the pump on and off with this little remote, so that makes life a lot easier. This water is aged, so I don't use the chlorinator. I put the water in there, and the next day it's ready to go. It's at the temperature of the room. We do run up here's our fish room worker, Sailor and Nacho. I run a space heater in here to heat the entire room. It's kind of cooled off a little bit now. We normally keep it around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. We're down to 77. We turn off the heat while we're in here working. And what do we say there? 38% humidity in here. That keeps our tanks, there's a guppy tank here, in the upper 70s, around 80. In the bottom, to keep the fish from getting sucked out, I silicone needle point mesh into the bottom. I don't know if you can see it down in there. But I have learned, if you look at the size of the openings in this mesh compared to that one, you can see the openings are much larger on here. This is a better, it allows more of the detritus to come out. So I'll eventually be going along and replacing all of the mesh in here with this larger mesh. Alright, so the bottles are just 2-liter soda bottles turned upside down. This was the bottom of the soda bottle, so we just cut it off, flip it over, and use it as a lid. For dividers, we use Coroplast product. These happen to be made from old cigarette advertisements, but you know, political signs, which are probably plenty out there to be had right now. Waterproof, easy to cut, lightweight, and it can go in to separate them so that they're not stressed too much. Let me come up here and pull the cards about 30 minutes a day, I guess, and allow them to flare at each other. Get a little exercise, and that's it. So, hope that answered any questions you have. As you saw in the other video that I posted, he had his jars supported just on the PVC pipe. I didn't like putting pressure on my PVC pipe flexing, so that's why I built this rack system and have the little L bracket screwed into the studs in the wall. And as you see here, it allows the detritus to come down underneath the grid, and then when I open this valve, it will suck that out and fill it back up. But I refill mine manually. The other video I showed you, he actually had a pump, a whole series of plumbing down this other side that he could open valves and refill. I just refill mine one rack at a time. But there you go. So we're still working hard, as you can see. But I hope that answers any questions you had. Thanks.